All right, everyone. Welcome. STARJUMP Skunkworks. It's been a long time. But I am back. You all wanted a kit bashing episode. I said I was going to do it, and here we are. We're going to do it. I'm going to really quick here before I get going because I forgot to share my screen with Art so you can hear what's going on. Let me fix that right now. All right, that is fixed.
It's my dream. It's my dream.
It's your dream.
I can see it.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to STARJUMP Skunkworks. It's been a while since we've done anything like this. If this is the first time you are seeing a Skunkworks episode and you're like, what the hell is Skunkworks? It is sort of the kit bashing stream of your dreams, I guess. If you like kit bashing, ship creation, all that kind of stuff, that's what I do on this, on this particular show. I used to do these in the past semi-regularly. I guess it was sort of whenever there was a good idea popping up. But to be totally fair, it has been a while. Okay, it has been a while. But if you are curious some of the stuff we have done in the past, I'll show you. We just kind of create vehicles with Star Citizen manufacturers that don't exist. We don't do any lot of like in-depth, or I don't do a lot of like in-depth custom modeling. I will do some, but for the sake of keeping things fast and moving forward kind of quickly, it's mostly kit bashing. So think like early concept work for a ship instead of like full on, we're modeling it, interior, exterior, all that kind of stuff. Not that we won't get to some interior stuff on this one, but primarily we're thinking more high level kit bashing. Hopefully though, you've seen some of my past projects. So for example, we did, I did this one time. Let me go. We did the little Drake Crab ground vehicle refueler one time. Again, we're just messing around. We're taking parts and pieces of other things, slamming them together, trying to make something kind of cool and interesting, and hopefully we get something kind of fun out of it. So sometimes it's success. Sometimes it's a failure. I've definitely kit bashed some things that were a true monumental failure. So it's not always a success. And hopefully you all don't mind that. Hopefully you are just kind of along for the ride. And, we'll see what we get at the end of all this. Now, before we get going, there's a few things. Actually, Piggles is saying the bot should be working. Okay, and it is. Okay, bot is working. So you can't ask questions related to this if we go. Let's see. To be working now. Okay. So there's a couple top of show announcements to make, not a ton. The big one though, as you all know, is the railing giveaway. I have the Gleam link pinned to chat if you want to get in on that. I'm going to give this ship away on, when did I say that? The 17th, June 17th, which is next week, which is First Contact Day. Or no, it's this week. What am I talking about? It's 2 days from now. It's Wednesday, 2 days from now, because apparently I don't know what week it is. Okay, I'm very tired. Apparently, so yes.
I thought it was just the fact. I thought it was just the fact that you really liked the ship and you just were gonna like, I'll give it away next week. Yeah. That gives you a week to play with it.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, I see someone in chat saying, was the Argo Capital my last kit bash? I possibly, yeah. We did an Argo Capital ship. I know a lot of people remember that one. That was a lot of fun. I need to break that one back out. I kind of lost the files for a little bit, refound them. But yeah, so last one I did was the Argo Capital ship. We sort of kitted out an Argo Capital. So this will be the next one. But yes, railing giveaway. Going to give this away on the 17th, which is First Contact Day. I believe that's the day the railing will go on sale. So on Wednesday. Yeah. We'll see what other variants are. If the variant is more interesting than the railing itself, who knows? I may change the giveaway, just keeping it sort of on my own prerogative, I guess. Oops, 1 second here. All right. So yeah, we'll just sort of see what they offer up, but for sure it'll at least be a railing. If there's something cooler, then we'll adjust it. We'll adjust it. Okay. I do have Art with me. There's Art. Art, how are you? Nice to see you, buddy.
I'm good, buddy. I'm slightly distracted.
Slightly distracted. Yeah, VMXEO, I do owe you that Argo Capital. Never got it to you. I failed hard. Still have, well, you know what happened was I lost the files for it. And it was because I had a hard drive failure. So I had to switch a bunch of stuff around. And I was so focused on making sure that I preserved and kept the Fleet Viewer base assets, which are like critical, that I kind of lost a few other things. And one of them was that. But I have since found it, and I can do that now. So, okay. We got a little bit of a crowd forming here, 63 over on Twitch, 79 over on YouTube. Do appreciate everyone hanging out today. What are we doing? Well, it is, like I said, it is Skunkworks time, okay? It's been a while. On this episode, we're going to be focusing on an Anvil carrier, okay? And I should point out, this is part one, okay? Part one. I can't do these in one stream. I can just tell you that right now. The RAM usage and stuff on the machine when I'm using 3D software and other things is really high. So, not to push things or what have you, I'm going to break it up into multiple parts. I can almost guarantee you this is going to be, hey, Pickles, hope you're doing well. He's popping in and immediately leaving. Thanks, buddy. So it could be 3-part series. This could be a 4-part series. It'll just be whatever it takes to sort of get through the ship. Again, like I said, I do not know if this is going to be successful, okay? Now, the next thing I want to go over is, have I done any pre-work for this? I haven't done any real modeling pre-production work or anything, but I have done some SketchUps. So actually, really quick,
You didn't share these with me. What's the point of me being, the inside loop if I don't get the extras?
Yeah, I know. What's exactly? I just like to mess with you, I guess. I like to mess with you.
Apparently.
I'm pulling up.
I understand how VMXEO feels now. So
yeah. All right, I'm pulling up something, and many of you remember when I did the Argo Capital. Oh, here it is. Let's see. Okay, let me find this because this is kind of important. Okay. Many of you may remember back when I did the Argo Capital concepting thing, I did this right here, which was sort of the first step in realizing what the Argo Capital ship would be, right? And this is something CIG sort of does as well when they're initially doing concept art. They will look at silhouettes and just sort of get some base shape language down. So if you remember in our Argo Capital project, we sort of were started from this point. The ship ended up turning or ended up leaning into B here. B ended up being the direction that I went ultimately. And the same can be said for this project. I have done a little bit of pre-work in the flat silhouette side of things. That doesn't mean we're going to go with one of those. We may divert and do something wildly different. So we'll just have to see. Now, let's talk about the actual assignment here. All right. Because many of you may be asking, well, we have an Anvil carrier. We have the Liberator. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Our assignment is to create an Anvil carrier that has the ability to carry 2 medium size 4 ships. Okay. What is a medium size 4 ship? Something like a Paladin. That's a medium size 4 ship. Okay. It needs to have the ability to carry 2 to 4 extra small size 2 ships. Okay. If any of you are familiar with the Drake Kraken, you will start to see the similarities here. Okay. The Kraken is supposed to carry 2 medium ships and 4 extra small ships with another 2 extra small in the hangars. But for this particular project, we're focusing on 2 medium ships and 2 to 4 extra small ships. If we're able to carry more, great. If we can't, we can't. It's going to be positioned as a competitor to the Kraken and the Idris. So we're not talking Liberator size here. We're talking bigger, capital size. Okay. The Liberator's a large ship. We're talking capital size. Okay. And then ultimately, part of this assignment is going to be figuring out a really cool name for this thing. As you all know, if you've been involved in any of the past projects, you'll know we have a lot of fun when we get to that stage. So, okay. Now let's divert for a minute. Some people may be saying, again, why do Anvil carrier when we have an Anvil carrier? in the Liberator. And I want to switch over here to Hanger Link really quick here. And it's just to sort of re-illustrate the fact that the Idris, the Kraken, really operate in a different regime than the Liberator. Okay, the Liberator is a large ship, but the Kraken and Idris are capital ships. They operate in a different size regime. Okay, the Liberator is really designed around carrying small ships. Okay, and we're going to get to that in detail here in a second. The interesting thing, though, with Anvil as a manufacturer is that there's a huge gulf between Anvil ships. So I think we could probably put the Carrack right at 126 meters. The Liberator is slightly smaller than that, I believe, at 122. And then the next one under that we know of course, is the Crucible at 90 meters. It will get scaled up, of course. But do you see the issue here with Anvil? We go from the large category, which it does get to that upper large scale. Thanks for subscribing, Luis. But we cap out at Carrack and Liberator size, and then we go all the way up to 752 meters in the Odin. So there's a huge gulf of space here between the large Anvil ships and the capital Anvil ships. And I, for one, feel, and I know a lot of people agree with me, that CIG's got a lot, or is going to fill this gap in a little bit before they get to the Odin. I do 100% think that will be the case, primarily because they're just going to have to continue building out so much more of that Anvil kit, okay? So this is sort of the size gulf we're talking about. So yes, we have the Liberator. Yes, the Liberator will be an awesome little carrier when it comes out. This isn't an Anvil or a Liberator hate fest or anything. I think the Liberator is a pretty cool ship. However, what we're creating today is something that competes more with the Kraken and the Idris, okay? Now, that being said, I'm going to pull up a couple things here so we can kind of get re-educated to stuff before we dig too deep into things, okay? Let me pull up. Okay, here we go. All right. And Art is helping me today, so thank you, Art. Okay.
I am.
You are. You're helping.
I am here.
Okay.
I thought I was just, according to Quinn, I'm just here as the eye candy. So.
You're just here as the eye candy. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to bring up something here. Let me go ahead and switch my screens here. We're going to switch over to the center monitor. So let's look at sort of the problem we're kind of solving here. Okay. So on the left here, obviously we have the Drake Kraken. It has the 2 medium pads, 4 extra small pads, and 2 extra small internal hangers. Now, many of you may say, well, I heard that these were small pads over here, and stuff like that. We don't totally know. And I'm going to go into more detail about that. And it comes down to pad metric, okay? Pad metrics are something that have changed over time. You can see some of those metrics right here. Pad metrics have changed over time. In general, pad metrics have scaled up, and they have scaled up since the time the Kraken was concepted, okay? Keep that in the back of your mind for a minute. Next, we see the Liberator here at 122 meters, again, with its 2 small pads, an extra small pad up front, and then 2 small pads underneath internally, okay? And that's what the 2 markers here in white on both ships are. It's the ones that are internal. I also put an Anvil Paladin right here, so you can see the size of ship we need to support in this new Anvil ship, okay, this new Anvil carrier. So you can see the size difference here, and you can see why that size difference matters. It carries different size ships, okay? You're not going to be fitting a medium ship on the Liberator. I can go ahead and tell you, as someone who's measured it many times, the Liberator cannot carry a Paladin or an Asgard or anything like that, or a Valkyrie. It's just not big enough. It is primarily suited to carry like the Hornets and the Gladiators and Arrows and stuff like that, okay? So in a sense, and you can kind of get this is a very rough baseline of some of the hanger sizes, or sorry, landing pad sizes. And I wouldn't read too much into these either, okay? Simply because pad size is a little different than landing area within a ship. What do I mean by that? Well, sometimes your hanger pad size may be medium. Let's say it's medium, but the medium area on the Kraken is much smaller than the medium hangar. Okay, and I think we're going to see some issues there. Okay, so let me let's slide back over to hangar link, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. Okay, so let's go top down on our Kraken. Now, if you remember the Kraken, and this is very clearly laid out in its concept right up on the jump point, it was really designed around carrying 2 medium ships. That was something laid out way before it even became the aircraft carrier looking concept we know and love now. Back before it looked like this and some of the early concept stuff, it was still built around carrying 2 Cutlass Blacks, essentially. Okay, 2 Cutlass Blacks. But let me do something here. Okay, let me pull up a let's pull up a Cutlass. Let's bring a Cutlass into this. And again, all this is going to build to our conversation here about this Anvil carrier. Okay, so we're going to go top-down view of the Cutlass. Now, as you can see the Cutlass here. Okay, if I move a Cutlass over this pad, you can see that it's kind of bigger than the pad. Okay, if I measure this pad, for example, oops, moved it. If I measure this pad is only 30 meters long. Now, remember, this is not the white box of the Kraken. This here is the cinematic model of the Kraken, but it is to scale. Okay, it was 200, well, this one's 270 meters. The Kraken we know we're getting is 260 meters, but the main point here is the pad size. So these 2 medium pads are about 30 meters long by about 22.3 meters wide. Okay, that is not medium pad size. Okay, that's actually more extra small pad size if you go by today's metrics. That presents an issue. Okay, so while pad sizes, and Quinn says it, or sorry, Quinn says it right here, while pad sizes are standardized, the hangar around them or the space around them is not. Now, one other thing to note about the Kraken specifically, we do know that the deck of the Kraken has changed in scale. In some of the white box images we've seen, it now extends out further than what you're seeing here. It looks to extend out a little bit further. So what I think has happened is I think CIG has still maintained that these 2 pads are medium, but I do think these little areas here, these little pieces of real estate that are considered the medium landing areas, I think they've been scaled up. And you got to remember one other thing, especially with like the internal hangars on the Kraken and stuff. CIG specifically states on the, actually we'll go to it, on the transmission link page for it, for those internal hangars, you'll even see here it says, if it fits, it sits. So the idea isn't about cordoning it off for a specific ship size. They're just going to create a space that's as standardized as they can make it per the ship's scale. And then whatever you're going to be able to land in it, you're going to be able to land in it. There's going to be some medium, or there's probably going to be some small ships that can't land in the small hangars of the Kraken just based off their scale profile. Okay, so that's important to remember here in this conversation. So, okay, let's go back to our center image here. So what that means is we're going to create a ship, okay, that is roughly Kraken size. Okay, so just use this cube here as our scale here, roughly Kraken size. And the idea will be that it can carry at least 2 paladins. Okay, let me move this back here. Send it back. So the goal will be that it can carry at least 2 paladins comfortably, not squeezing them on, with enough room to move around, walk around, all that kind of stuff. And then possibly, if it's able, maybe enough room to carry, at least 2, possibly 4, possibly 4 extra small ships. Okay, so that's sort of the task here. Okay, now I don't know if CIG thinks this way, but generally, when you look at their marketing for some of the carrier ships, so with the Idris, they always showed an Aegis Gladius, right? Sometimes others, but I think the Aegis Gladius a lot. There were Hornets as well in the Squadron 42 stuff, but you see the Aegis Gladius. With the Liberator concept art, you saw a lot of, and a matter of fact, I'll go to it. Let me switch over really quick here. With the Liberator concept art, you will see a lot of hornets. You can see it up here. Scroll down a little bit more. You see what looks to be a hurricane over here that'd take off. Anyways, you see a lot of hornets and some of its imagery. With the Kraken, you see things like buccaneers on here and cutlasses. Where am I going with this? I think in general, since there's so many edge cases with some of these ships, when they're coming up with a carrier, I think they try to just make sure at the very least that it can carry ships of that manufacturer. Okay. So again, we're not going to focus on every medium ship in the sun. We're not going to try to make an Anvil ship that can carry the Crusader Star Runner, which is actually a large ship now, but we're going to make sure this ship can carry Anvil ships. Okay. So in the medium category, we're going to focus on the Paladin, and on extra small category, we're going to focus on ships like the, the Hornet series and the Arrow series and stuff like that. Okay, so that is the task. Now, someone said, Rabbit says, will it be single story Grim? Who knows? Probably not. Probably not. So now we're going to go into some of the pre-work that I have already done. Okay. Now, when I show you what I'm about to show you, I don't want you to feel like the train has left the station. We can sketch up some more stuff based off any ideas people have in chat. If you put question, the bot will pick it up. We might be able to pick up any suggestions. Art, if any suggestions pop up you think are relevant, feel free to call them out. But I'm going to switch over to this.
I have power.
You have some power. We're going to switch over to this. This was some original ideas I was thinking of, and looking more like top-down views, taking the Liberator as the sort of example here, right, as our baseline. I was thinking of something with a nice, big, open deck, something like the Kraken where you can creatively position ships, so if it sits, it fits sort of thing, right? Possibly double-decker in this like front view here. I thought we could pull a little bit from the Odin where it has that big conning tower. We could do the same, but put it off to the side. I thought would be kind of interesting. So started messing around with that. Then started messing around with one that had a little bit wider plane line and more engines. Okay, because we're getting up in scale here. And remember, we want this carrier to be able to land. We want it to compete with the Kraken and Idris. So it's going to have to fit within the metrics of a capital hangar. Okay, and we do have those metrics, so we're going to have to kind of fit it within that, right? Started messing around with the same stuff, but a skinnier version, right? Started messing with a version that kind of leans into that circular motif that we know Anvil kind of leans into on some of their ships, and to varying levels of importance. Sometimes they minimize it, sometimes they really lean into it, but that circular anvil motif. So this one would have the bridge kind of rise up, sort of like Idris style. Now it does create an obstruction that ships landing on the top deck have to go underneath, but it could be something interesting to explore, right? And then started messing with one that was a little bit more asymmetric, since our conning towers sort of over here on the left-hand or the starboard side. Started messing with one where the starboard side was the dominant side of the ship. It allows for a wider landing pad, and then just some smaller asymmetrical kind of greeble work on this side. Okay, some very rough, very simplified sort of outlines for this. But and what this would do with these double-decker approaches is it would give us the top landing pad for the two medium ships, specifically give it the same, it would give it that same advantage that the Kraken has, where a ship can land up there that is perhaps taller because there's not that Idris style height limitation. But then it still opens up the bottom underneath first story internal area that could still be fly in, fly out, but it could open that up to smaller ships, right? Like Arrow, Hornet, stuff like that, right? Now, from a scale standpoint, we really can't exceed 260 meters. Well, actually, Art, can we do a poll?
Yeah.
Can we do a poll? Here's the poll. I'm going to leave it up to you all. Okay. If this ship should be able to land, that will be one option. Can it land? And the other one will be forget landing. That'll be option B. So it's a 2-option poll. And here's why that matters. If it has to land, if it needs to have landing gears and be able to land, then it can't be over 260 meters long. Okay, it has to be Kraken dimensions. So 260 meters or under. Okay. If you don't care about it landing, then we're not stymied by that length limitation. So and here's the thing. Sometimes limitations are good. Remember that, everyone. Sometimes limitations are good because they give you something to work towards. So chat, chime in. And while you're doing that, while Art's making that poll, I'm going to get the next decision ready, which will be this. But Art, I'll let you get that one going.
Okay.
By the way, tonight, everybody, will be sort of figuring out what we're doing. We might do some initial, very rough, white boxy kind of modeling, and but we're not going to get to any like beautiful, like beautiful modeling yet. We're not quite there. We're not quite there. Okay. And the next poll.
How long do you want me to?
Just like a minute. Just like a minute. Okay. And while you're doing that one,
I'll do minute, and poll is up on Twitch.
The poll is up. The first decision you all have to make is going to be a little bit choose your own adventure style. The first decision you have to make is land or not to land. Okay. So let's see what the poll comes up with. Again, if we need to be able to land, then that does mean a 260 meter limit on that. And I'll tell you exactly why here. Let me pull up. I'm going to pull up something here and I'll show you exactly why. Let's go ahead and go back to STARJUMP Fleet Viewer. I'm going to click off this. I'm going to go to pad. Okay. We're going to bring up a capital pad. This is the capital pad. Thank you very much, VMXEO. Okay, and we're going to bring up the Kraken, okay? Don't worry about isometrics. Isometrics aren't always scaled properly. Let's go to top down. Now, as you can see, the Kraken fits at 270 meters, and remember, they scaled it down to 260. The Kraken fits on the capital pad just barely. Now, we could probably go a little wider than the Kraken, but lengthwise, we're going to have to stay at around 260 meters. That's actually one of the reasons I think CIG scaled it to 260. Go ahead.
The ship can land. Both sections agree.
Okay.
Can land. At a pretty similar ratio, about 68% to 30%.
All right. That's good. All right. So here's the next poll. And I don't know if we want to do a poll or just have people chime in chat. I'm open. But the next one is, do any of these designs, A, B, C, D, or E, do you fancy them? Or should we do something completely different? Should we do something completely different? I did a little bit of this forward work just to kind of get us going, but you all let me know. We're going to set up another poll here. We're going to set up another poll. And actually, while we're talking about this, you may be wondering why I did so many of these that lean into the Liberator. And it's primarily because of two specific things. One, if you go to the Jump Point issue that showed the Liberator concept art when they were sort of figuring out what they wanted to do with the Liberator, there was a bunch of Liberator concept art meshes that looked really cool. They didn't end up going with them, but they all still sort of had this look and feel. Big center ramp or landing area, nacelles on the side, big ass engines. Some of them double decker, some of them single decker, but they seem to be leaning into that. Our only other point of reference. Oh, and if you look at the Crucible still has a little bit of that thing going on too, right? It's got the two nacelles and the Scarab in the middle. So we got that design language to go off of. The only other thing we've seen that can carry ships from Anvil is the Odin, and it's a battle cruiser and more. It's just such a big ship that it has enough room for a giant hangar. So it's really, I don't really look at it as a carrier per se. It does carry ships right up on par with the Kraken and stuff like that, but its role is not a carrier. So leaning back into the Liberator, I stuck to that design motif. Okay, if you're wondering.
So YouTube can only give me 4 options for a poll.
That's okay.
So
how about we do this in chat? Chime in what you think. Just do A, B, C, D, E, or question mark, and we'll just look and try to get a sense of what we think is the most common. Everyone jump in now. I have seen lots of D's, some question marks.
There's a joke there. I'm going to leave it.
Okay. Some E's, some D's. And here's the thing. We may explore multiples. Everyone. I'm seeing some B's, but primarily I feel like D and E seem to be popping out more, maybe question mark. And I think we'll get, and the question mark could be possibly a new design, and maybe we'll do that as we're kit bashing. But I'm feeling like D and E are sort of popping up more and more. Yeah. What do you think, Art? Do you agree?
Sorry, I've got Mexican aggro.
Oh, okay. So D and E, I think, is what is popping out the most.
I mean, DE question mark is what I'm seeing for the most part.
DE question mark. Wolf Blitzer says A and B are too close to standard Liberator, you feel. Okay, I get that. Okay. I think D is a huge limitation on your ship height. It might be. But remember, you don't have to land and like with wheels, you could just land on the front of this. So for example, instead of like these lines here, imagine if it was literally just like sort of like Kraken style. It's just got landing pads on here, like areas cordoned off for landing. You could land on them from any direction, right? Could be something like that. Okay. So
I can pull DE and question mark and see. That should narrow it down.
Well, maybe we here's what we're going to do. Maybe we sort of kit bash out both of these, and when I say kit, actually not kit bash, we sort of white box block both of them out, and then from there, as a matter of fact, let me close this really quick, everyone. Stand by. That way we don't have to do a poll. Got an idea. Okay, so here's the two that seem to be garnering the most attention. And for you question markers, I think we're going to naturally be kind of going off on some tangents anyway. So what we end up creating may not look anything like these. So don't worry. Okay, so what we're going to do is, you all ready to start?
Grim likes ruining my poll powers. It's okay.
Yeah, I do. I like taking that power away from him. 116 on Twitch, by the way, and 136 on YouTube. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. I have a bunch of windows.
People want their ship designs.
Yeah, so I can't catch a lot of follows right now. I apologize. I'll try to catch up. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to switch back over to our medium. Or sorry, what am I talking about? Over to Cinema 4D. I can't talk today. And check this out. I have, where is it? I have the ability to pop up a little art. Look at that. Boing. There we go. Nice. Okay. Here's what we're going to do, everybody. First, let's get a yardstick going. Okay. So we know what scale we're working at. We know the Kraken dimensions for the most part. Okay. Again, these may change in the final ship, but we know it's 260 meters long. Okay, and we are operating in meters here. We know that it's about 104 meters wide and it's about 60 meters tall. So this is sort of the bounding box for the Drake Kraken. Okay, so we are going to try to stay within this regime. Okay, we're going to try not to exceed that too much. In order to build within these confines, I'm just going to sort of create like a little shadow box for us to work within here. Okay, now, going back to, actually, wait a minute. Is there a way? I got an idea. 1 second, everybody. 1 second. Pull something up here. Please bear with me. Where is my display capture? Okay, 1 second, everybody. I'm going to get one thing going here. Okay, ignore that. I am going to crop this down so that we can have these up as reference as we continue to build here. Where can I put this? I'm going to put it right down here, right next to art. Right next to art. Actually, I'll put it right here. Right over here. Okay. So these are our two versions we're going to sort of mess with right now. And again, we'll just see where we get. Okay. And this is going to be real rough, everyone. Real rough. We're going to just start with like primitives for the most part. Okay. So let's go ahead and just create something here. Let's create a nice dark texture. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. All right, here we go. We're going to start building now. Okay. We're going to stay within these confines though. Okay. So for the first ship, we know it's going to have sort of 2 long nacelles. Again, we don't want to exceed our scale here. We're going to be really rough here, everyone. Really rough. Okay. We're just going to do some sort of basic scaling for the most part. Okay, let's pull that one out. We're going to go maximum length here. We're going to, like that. And we're going to sort of move one over and bring the next one over. Okay, these are going to be messy here, everyone. Just bear with me. So we kind of have our 2 long nacelles. Okay. We probably are going to need to shorten these because we are going to need space for engines. So we're going to make it 225 meters long. So something like that. Okay, gives us some room for some engines back here. Okay, now let's go to the next important thing. We are going to, you know what we also need to bring up? Let's go ahead and bring up, let me go back to this really quick here because I got to open a weird window. Let's go ahead and bring up a reference ship. We need a reference ship, everybody. And Art, if anything pops up in chat that is pertinent for me to know, please let me know. Okay, we got the Drake Kraken in here. This will be our reference ship so we can stay on top of things in terms of scale. Okay. All right, let's go back to our ship here.
I love talking to myself.
You do?
I mean, with my mic muted.
Were you muted?
References? I love references.
Okay. All right. Now time for the decks. We're going to get some decks in here. And we're going to get some nice big decks. That's the whole point of this ship, right? And we're going to do something like this, and this. Okay. Again, everyone, we are going to adjust things. Don't worry. Don't worry. If it looks completely crappy at this stage, that's kind of the point. That is kind of the point, okay? So we have our upper deck, and then we're going to have a bottom deck sort of underneath. Now, for the sake of measurements here, I'm going to create a cube, because I don't know how big these hangar doors are here for this internal hangar. But we want to do something that's similar in scale. So these hangar doors are roughly, and let's do some back of the napkin math, if I can talk here. Roughly 29 meters wide by 12 meters tall. Okay, so we want to make sure we do that. So roughly 12 meters tall. I want to make sure I preserve that. We'll definitely be wider, just because our ship's going to be wider, I think, in general. But we do want to make sure we're at least 12 meters tall for clearance purposes. So we're going to bring this bottom deck down a little bit more. Okay, so that gives us our same height requirements as that other, or as the side hangers on the Kraken. Okay, man, that's a wide ass ship, but that's okay. Well, we're gonna keep running with this for the moment. All right, next thing is our first ship, if you remember, has some, it has sort of a diagonal slight wedge shape on it. We are going to get to that. But first, let's go ahead and start getting some engines planned out. For engines, we're just going to do some base cylinders here, nothing too special. Again, we're gonna get to the point where we make this thing look good at some other point. We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
You're getting a weird humming feedback.
Weird humming feedback. What could that be?
From your end, it looks like.
Weird humming feedback. Let me see. Is everyone still hearing it? Because the levels are not picking anything up. But let me know. Only when he speaks. Okay. Interesting. Art, maybe you can check on Twitch and see how bad it is. Shimpasta says it's the sound of thought.
Give me more.
Check 1, check 2. Hello, hello, hello. Check, 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 check. Almost like magnetic sound. Why not connected properly?
I mean, I can hear what they're talking about, but I
wonder if that just popped up. What that could be. Do you have any motors in the area? No, but you know what? Let me try. 1 second, everybody. How about now? Is anyone getting it now? Art, do you hear anything? Check 1, check 2, check 3. Let me know if anyone hears it. It's gone.
It's gone.
Okay, cool. Yeah. It may have been this little fan in here, but that's okay. Solved it. Okay, cool.
You're going to have to suffer and sweat.
Yeah, I'll sweat a little bit. For these fine folks, I will sweat a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our engines in place here. For our engines, we're just gonna, oh, those are some big ass engines. Okay, we're gonna bring that down to reality a little bit here. But we know Anvil, we know they like big engines. Okay, so we're gonna offset our engines here so people don't fly into them. Let's see, actually, where's my objects? Okay. Again, everyone, what we're trying to do right now is just get some sort of base language here to our ship. We're not trying to we're not full on modeling it or anything like that yet. We're really just sort of starting to get an idea of maybe what we could do. We're not fully there yet though. Okay. Actually, what I'm going to do is make this a little bit longer. This is kind of the fun part though. Okay. It allows us to have some fun with this. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is, before we deal with the conning tower thing, as a matter of fact, I'm going to turn this off. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some element moving here. Okay. So what we're going to do is, again, we're being very rough right now, everyone, not trying to be impressive or anything. We're going to move this in a little bit, give it that diagonal look, about 5.103. And 5. That's good. Okay, give it a little bit of that action. Let's see here. Let's go back. .2. You'll all see what I'm doing here in just a second. Okay. All right. So what we're starting to do is we're starting to get a little bit of that that look and feel of that first one, as you can see. Okay. A little bit of that at least. We just pay attention here. So we got to give it a little bit of a bottom hole, which we're going to do now. We're going to, again, I'm just using primitives, everyone. If you've come in here going, man, what is Grim doing? He's playing with just big old blocks. That's because I'm purposefully just moving quick and simplified here. Okay. All right, let's see here. We got to be careful about making this ship so big that it's just ridiculous. Okay. Okay, and then what we're going to do with this is we're going to give it some, okay, and I think that's good. All right, and then what we're going to do is we are going to go into front view here, grab this. We're going to bring those up, kind of give it a little bit of a shaped bottom. Okay. Slide back over to our 3D thing here, and we're going to grab just these points. And we're going to bring those out a bit. And there we go. Okay. You know what? Nope. Let me go back to my top view. There's going to be a little bit of jostling around here, everyone, as I get stuff in order. Line cut. All right, let's go back. And now let's bring, actually that didn't do anything I asked it to do. So let's go back to this. We're going to do a line cut here. We're going to tell it to ignore visible only. There we go. It's good enough. Okay. Now we're going to take these two and we're going to move these up. There we go. Okay, perfect. Okay. So now our ship has sort of a bottom. We'll deal with that for the moment. It's like a freaking boat, but that's okay. All right. Next thing we're going to do is shape some of the rest of this stuff. Again, we're trying to get close to that D option there. Let's grab these and these. And we'll do that for the moment. Okay, let's go back here for a minute. Let's work on this tower object here. Let's create a few base textures. We're going to do this real simplified though, very, very simplified. Okay, that is a pad. That is a pad. Okay. All right. And here's the thing, we may be too wide here. I'll have to look at what, actually, let's do a measurement now while we can. We don't want to exceed 104 meters wide. Okay, so we do not want to exceed 104 meters wide, which is that wide right there. Okay, so we are within limits. We're currently within limits, but we kind of can't exceed beyond that. Can't exceed beyond that. Turn that measuring stick off for a minute. All right, now for the tower here. Now we're doing sort of a different tower on this one. And for the moment, we are going to create, let me think here for a minute. We're going to do, again, a lot of the geometry you're seeing here will be replaced, everyone. It'll ultimately be replaced. This is just for the sake of getting something on here, okay?
Like a glove.
Say again.
I said like a glove.
Like a damn glove, everyone. Okay, here we go. We gotta give ourselves enough room for a bridge, really epic bridge station, all that kind of cool stuff. Okay, cool. And we'll go a little bit more. Okay, and go. So there's our bridge area. We probably can go a little higher with it. Actually, no, we're going to keep it like this. Okay, we'll do some fixing on that here in a bit. And from a size standpoint, we're going to go a little higher with it. Okay, now we're going to get to this next piece here. Again, we're just blocking shit out. Okay, we got to create our little things here. What's everyone saying, Art? Are they making fun of just how terrible it is?
Rabbit mentioned that the bridge could be like an Anvil arrow design style, so kind of more things. Let's see. Kobold mentioned it'd be interesting to have the two medium pads open on the top and small pad on the bottom deck, but have the hangar doors open perpendicular to the bow and stern, like service bays from the Kraken.
Say that again.
Rudger. Let's see. Having two medium pads on the top
Okay.
like open on the top.
Okay.
And then the small pads on the bottom deck, but have the hangar doors perpendicular to the bow and stern, like the service bays in the Kraken.
Yeah. Yeah. That could be
So
kind of
in the
interesting.
sides versus in the front and back.
That may be something we can explore. That may be something we can explore.
Rugger Blood Moon says, doesn't Anvil like external engines that can pivot on the outsides of their nacelles? And Pudlip
Yes.
says
To that.
Anvil loves their panel on panel stuff.
That's true too. That's true as well. Okay, let's see here. Everyone, we're just sort of blocking things out here. Don't really know ultimately what I want this to look like yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
A disaster. You want it to look like a disaster.
I do. I want it to look like an utter disaster. Pretty much of epic proportions.
I love it.
Yes, we all do.
The problem is you put this on me to like pick out things. So if it goes bad, it's all my fault.
That's how I do it, man.
Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
That's how I do it, baby.
I'm going to create a new channel called Skunkworks to put this stuff in versus just DMing you.
Do it. I like it. Okay. Okay, we'll do that. Actually, nope. Don't like that. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. Okay, we're going to do that. And then we are going to... We're actually going to take this, delete it. Okay, there we go. And then what I think we might do is pivot all of it back, right? Is that how? No, it pivots forward like this. Okay, cool. Sort of like that. Okay, again, we'll have to go back, people, and properly model this stuff at another time. We're not worrying about that right now. We are literally just blocking things out. Okay, literally just blocking things out. Oops, okay, whatever that was about. So we're kind of getting there. Okay, I think we need more. We got to get more of this up here. So let me cone. We'll take the. Okay, and we're going to rotate this 180 degrees, and then we're going to run it out. This, we're going to bring it down, and we're going to adjust the height and the. Okay, and we're going to pull this in a little bit. And we're going to give it a lot more rotation segments so that we're somewhere like that. I think actually that may be disruptive on the bottom like that. Don't y'all think? Maybe a little disruptive. Lessons are fly under height. Okay. Secretly, it's just a big terrapin saucer. You never know. You never know what Anvil's got up their sleeve. Okay, you never know. Okay. So obviously, actually, let me pop this up just a tad so it doesn't vibrate. There we go. So again, that is, I think we still need to be at a slight bigger angle here. I'm sorry, I'm looking at what I've got going on here, everyone. Okay, let me switch back to the top-down view. Okay, let's go into here. Let's go to our primary deck, which is this bad boy. And let's mesh it up a bit. Okay, let's mesh it up a bit. So 1, 2, okay, we need 5. So we're going to grab the, actually, I'm going to redo this deck. I'm going to do a new deck here. Actually, yep. So what we're going to do, everyone, we're going to redo the primary deck. We're going to do it in a way that I think makes better sense. We're going to raise the deck up a little bit here just so where we can see it. Get to about the right height. We're going to bring it out where it's the right width. Okay. And we're going to bring it out to the right length. Something like this. We can always adjust it. And then we're going to subdivide it up. So we need 5 segments on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. 5 segments on that. So we're going to do seat, bing, bing. Because if you look, our deck has a little bit of a shape to it on the front. So to do that, what we got to do is let's go back here. We're going to grab these. We're going to move those over 3.3. 3.3 roughly, doesn't have to be exact, but the closer we can make it, the better. There we go. And you can probably grab this one and do another 1.9 and grab this one and 1 point. Again, everyone, this is back of the napkin math here. We're not being overly precious at this point. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab this. We're going to bring this forward where it sort of matches our silhouette. And same thing on the rear, just to give that deck a little bit of a lip. Go back to here. Boom, 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 boom. And we're going to bring this deck, well, it's actually a little thick. It's a thicky deck. We're going to go half as thick. We're going to scale this one down. We're going to remove this deck. And then this one here, we're going to bring down as well and remove that one. Okay, so we start to get like a little bit of a contour here. I think for the sake of that top deck, so that it doesn't have quite the distance the other one has, just for safety of exiting ships, we might pull that back a little bit, right? Yep, I like that. I think we're going to pull this in a tad, and we're going to pull this one in a tad. There we go. Okay, so yeah, we're starting to get there. We're starting to get there. Let's grab this here and let's tuck it underneath a little bit, give it a little bit of shape. Grab all this and move in a bit. Yeah, for now. It's super rough, but it's okay. And then we're going to just scale that out just a tad. There we go. Okay. So right now, that's what we're kind of looking at actually for scale. Because I need to be on top of things. For scale, I am going to bring up a, let's see, what do I have on deck? Let's bring up this bad boy. Okay, this will be our placeholder Hornet for the moment. Let's go back to our Untitled. Bring it in, should be to scale, yep. Connect, 1 second here, everyone. Select all, connect objects plus delete. I'm just going to kill all these textures here because again, we're just simplifying things for the moment. Edit, delete unused materials. And then what we're going to do for our little Hornet is we're just going to create a nice little orange texture just for visibility's sake. So as you can see from a Hornet perspective, we got plenty of room. Plenty of room. All this is to scale, by the way. All this is to scale. So plenty of room for something like a Hornet, even out of the under deck area. You don't have as much space under there, obviously. Might be better suited for light fighters or snubs or what do they call those? Pit bulls or furies or what have you, but it's there. Mm-hmm. It's there. Now we could, yeah, all right, we'll keep it here. Let me double this up here. Okay, so again, we're going to come back and work on this more. Obviously, there'll be other engines and pieces and parts. This is just literally the simplest we're going to make this initial model. I actually think the bridge is too high. I think it looks a little doofy. So we're going to bring it down a smidge. Now remember everybody, CIG we're talking about. Okay, they're not going to make it super convenient. Okay, we're going to bring that down a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to move it back a little bit so we don't obstruct as much of the landing pad. You know what I mean? I like that kind of, I think that might be a better decision. Yeah. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab this, and this, and remove that. And then we're going to pull this one forward as well so that the bridge is really not obstructing anything but this very end part of the hangar. And you could still put snubs or something back here, but what it does is open up your rear underneath landing area a bit. And we could extend, actually, let's take a look. How far are we on our height measurement? The Kraken is 60 meters tall. It's sad that I know the Kraken's measurements by heart. Okay, so we still have quite a ways to go. So I actually think what we could do, is to give that bottom hangar area a little bit more love. I think we could bring all of that down a little bit. Give those a little bit more space. Okay, we'll fix those into cells because we're a little disconnected right now. But that really opens it up now. That really opens it up. Okay, so what we're going to do now that we've done that is we're going to grab both of these. Okay, we're going to bring that down a little bit. We're going to grab the... I think we're good at the moment. Let me grab these. Actually, just grab these. Let's go. Nope, I don't want to do that. Okay. We'll have to refine the hell out of those, by the way, because they are ugly. But that's okay. This is where we're at. Reference Paladin. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I like that. Let's grab a reference Paladin. You're thinking the right way here. You're thinking the right way. We got to have a reference Paladin. That's why I love this community. They're thinking. They're thinking. I like it. Where's my Paladin? Okay, let's just grab a Paladin. All right, there it is. Okay, we're just going to select children, connect objects plus delete. We're going to hopefully, oops, it's not what we wanted to do. That's not what we wanted to do. That was wrong. Hold on a minute, everybody. Here we go. We're going to use this. Go back to our sketch. We're going to place this bad boy in. Let me delete the textures on it. Okay, where's our orange texture? Throw that on there. And hopefully there it is. Here's our Paladin. All right, let's turn this thing around. I mean, I think it from a scale perspective, I think we're there. I think we are plenty of room to move around. Probably some room for adjustments. Don't have the landing gears down on this, by the way. We can delete that. Don't have the landing gears down on this, but as you can see, plenty of room for 2, possibly even more. So what we're going to do is we are going to do what I call the CIG pass, which is where we take something that's pretty much perfect and we start making it a little bit more restrictive. Okay, because it's almost too good now. Okay, it's almost too good. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and this, and we're going to move that in 3.57. Okay, 3.57. Take that, and we're going to move it in 3.57, or roughly. It doesn't have to be exact. Oops. Now, I'm not trying to artificially just make it less effective. It's just more like, try to put some limitations in there so we're not parking a Perseus on top of it. So there you go. Plenty of room to get into the paladins, all that kind of good stuff. You do have enough room for, let's see here, you do have enough room for 2 quite easily. And again, additional room to sort of move around. So I think you could have ships land on the top deck, have plenty of room to service them, and then ships underneath, right? And we may even have too much space underneath. If you're just joining us, by the way, everyone, I know this is butt ugly. We're not modeling yet. We're literally just kind of messing around with primitives, getting a good sense of possibly what we can do here. So I am going to limit this a little bit, everyone, because this is a little crazy. Okay, we're going to bring that up just a tad. There we go. Okay, there we go. I wanted to limit that just a little bit. Okay, so there we go. There is our first one. Again, we'll go through and refine that here in a bit. But there is the first. We're going to go ahead and group those. Okay, let me swing back to this real quick, full screen. Let me just save this really quick, everyone. Bear with me. Just a second. Okay, now we'll go back. Okay. Do we have any questions before I move on to the next one in our, or option E? Art, do we have any good questions that have popped up?
Not. I mean, I've seen some stuff about asking about maybe like a triple deck, or a few other things here and there.
Crazy.
Nothing. I know guys just want it all.
They want it all. Damn it. Okay. So to get to the next one a little quicker, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to start chopping. So we're going to remove this. We're going to remove this. We're going to remove this, this. Okay. We're going to get back to just this. We're going to make our, let's see here. We're going to make our pads a little wider. So we're going to give this asymmetric one the benefit of being able to have slightly wider pads. That's what she said. Actually, let me grab this as well. By the way, if you have any complaints about the jokes, send all your complaints to Art. Scale
I didn't know that was coming.
Yeah, I'm just going to scale that out just a tad.
That's P. Sherman.
Yeah, absolutely.
42 Wallaby Way, Sydney,
Yes.
Australia.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, and we're next going to grab this, this, and this, and we're going to slide these over because they have a slightly different profile. Okay, and then what that means is on this side, we are going to do something a little different. Okay, this is a more asymmetrical design where we have more something along these lines here. Again, we will refine it, everyone. We're operating very...
What if we had some, what if like those 2 paladins at the top there, what if we rotated them like 90 degrees and fit them that way?
Yeah, that's a possibility. Like if they were like this, so you had, or at least you had the option to land like that.
So they would instead of pulling off the front of a carrier, they'd pull off the side.
They'd go off the side. Yeah, possible. We'd have to be wider. Let's make sure we're within our width limitations here. Let's go to, now remember the Kraken is 104 meters and CIG did not say that the width was getting adjusted at all. So as you can see, based off that, we can go wider. So we're going to do that. Is that cool with everybody? That's what we're going to do, according to Art.
Can we, somebody asked if they could leave enough, it was Rickshaw, asked if we could leave enough room on the sides for VTOL engines. Got to have those VTOLs.
Yes, I think we can also do that. Because they could also be built in a little bit to the ship. And you'll see what I mean here in a minute. Okay, so let's do that. And then let's take these 2 little asymmetric pieces. We're going to bring those to about here. Okay. which means we are going to take, I do a little trimming here, everybody, a little trimming. We're actually just going to trim the pads, not the bottom piece, because that's going to be built into the hull. We're going to drag these in or they don't exceed the asymmetric wall on that side. Okay, something like that. And then let me look at our thing over here. All right, let me study this for a second, everybody.
And Subtle Citizen 42 said maybe side hanger access for the lower levels. So just all side all the time, apparently.
You know, interesting. Why does everyone want the side? I'm very curious. Is it just we like that?
I think I think if you think about it, all of the carrier that we currently have, the Idris, is a front, kind of tunnel thing. So I think it's just everyone's wants something different. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something a little different. I mean, technically, I think people are going to do that a lot with the Kraken because the Kraken's, these pads here on the starboard side, they are horizontal pads, not forward pads. So yeah, I get it. I get it. Okay.
Blunder Swish says side hangers would allow for a forward bridge.
Say that again.
Side hangers would allow for a forward bridge, so putting a bridge closer to the front.
True. Yeah. We'll stick a little bit with our E here, and then we might just do an alternate. We might do an alternate. Now, let's see here. I messed with, bear with me, everyone. I had messed with earlier when I was futzing around in this. Let me go back. I was messing around with a little bit of a bridge thing, just because I kind of knew we'd probably be heading this way based off some of the versions I did. So let's just bring our bridge in here, something like that. That's sort of the idea, something like that. Kind of building a little bit off that Odin thing, right? So the ships have the ability to sort of land in multiple different directions here. Okay, you could do side takeoff, right? You could do long ways. You definitely got a hell of enough room to do whatever you want. I do think if we're doing this configuration though, I think our bottom area could be a little too tall. Because now we have a, see, now well, I mean, we're still in that 100 meter, or we're still under that 64 meter height requirement. Let me think about that for a minute. Well, no, I think you're going to need that quality of life. Here we go. Okay. So it's what we're sitting at with our two versions here. Now this one's got one giant engine in the back. We're not going to be able to do something like that. So I think for that, we'll do asymmetric engines. So what we'll do is we'll come over here. We will scale this down. Actually, why? So on this, we'd probably need to do something where it's got like a double stack of engines on this side to kind of bring out. We're starting to feel a little Drake-ish here, but hey, you never know. Anvil might get a little crazy with things. You don't know. Now, obviously, I just have the engines ending here. We'll have to build in stuff that flushes all that out and greebles it out really nicely. But this is where we're at with our two sort of carrier mock-ups for Anvil. They are big. I'm just going to say they are quite large. Now, they do, however, still fit within our bounding box. See, remember that original bounding box we had here? This is the Kraken's bounding box. It does still fit there. Barely, but it fits. Someone said chonky. It is a bit chonky. Okay, so let's see here. Where are we at? Let me catch up here. Let me go to questions here. Boop, 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 boop. Let me get back to it here. Okay, let me see what questions we have. Tibble says, question, we are potentially going to get a snub ship with the Liberator next year. What do you think an Anvil snub ship would look like? Potentially, but the snub ships I mean, I think we get an Anvil snub ship, but I don't know if specifically it would be tied into the Liberator. I mean, the Liberator's essentially going to have snub ships. It's going to be Hornets and Arrows and Gladiators and all that kind of stuff. So possibly. But I do think, to your argument, though, there's going to be snub ships for every manufacturer. And in that specific regard, I would say, I think I would want something that is kind of similar to the Arrow, but just pulled down even more in scale. You know what I mean? But with Anvil, based off the Hornet series, the Arrow series, and stuff like that, even the F8, I would want something that's sleek. You know what I mean? So something that's a little bit more sleeker than the Fury or the Pitbull, obviously. I think that would be really, really cool. Yeah, I guess that's what I would hope for. Vandal11 says, could it be almost a 3-tier carrier with a ground vehicle bay on the bottom with front or side ramps? Well, I think the argument could be made that if, for example, if you landed this ship, let's say for shits and giggles here, I'm going to do something a little crazy for a minute. Let's just say these blocks here are the landing gears, right? Let's just say for shits and giggles, these are the landing gears, right? Ship this big, you're going to need obviously some big ones up front here. And then you're going to need some big, probably something like this in the rear, right? You're going to need some big landing gears, right? Maybe even 2 up at front for all we know, okay? So let's go ahead and do that actually. So let's do this, and then we'll grab these boys, pull them back a little bit. So let's say you had some big landing gears here. I don't think that would preclude an area from this internal hangar that's either a giant elevator that can lower underneath, or in the front, you just are able to extend out a ramp. You know what I mean? There would be a ramp essentially built into this ship that can come down out of the front, a la the Idris or something like that, you know. Yeah, obviously we'll get there in the modeling phase, but you know, be something like that where it can have a ramp that can offload tons of stuff. You know what I mean? And I do still think it's tying into that Anvil look a little bit, right? It definitely, these are tying into that Anvil look. Let's see here. Next question. We got Vandal's question. And again, that could be side ramps, could be front ramps. Rabbit07 says, is the bot running? Yes, it is. Rabbit then asks, how would you feel about a giant arrow elongated with an Idris-like hanger and fold down wings that double as landing gear like the Hercules? Possibly. You know, the funny thing is I do feel like the Idris is not, personally, I feel like, well, let's back up here for a minute. Personally, I feel like the Idris is not the best carrier. Now technically it's a frigate in the game, but it does do carrier operations as well. But I do think the Idris is a very limiting carrier. So with that thinking, I don't know if CIG, if they were to do another carrier, I don't know if they would want to model it after the Idris's carrier design, because I think that was specifically for Squadron 42 to create that vibe. I think the Kraken and the Liberator are sort of where CIG truly sees carrier operations in regards to the PU. And if you think about it, the PU is not going to be as, The flight models are going to be a little different. The accuracy is going to be a little different, when you bring people into the mix. And from that standpoint, I think you want to make the easiest possible approaches, the easiest possible landing profiles and landing vectors. And the open flight deck really lends itself to that versus the closed tunnel you need to go through. Not that there aren't ace pilots that can nail that every time, but it's still going to be a little bit of a choke point, right? So personally, I don't see CIG going down that path, but you could. You absolutely could. Cobalt 12 says, I think it would be interesting to have the two medium pads open on top and the small pads on the bottom deck, but have the hangar doors open perpendicular to the bow and stern, like the service bays on the Kraken. Yeah, I mean, you could easily do that. I mean, for example, this whole bottom deck here could be closed, and you could have side entrances. So, for example, let's get a little creative here for a minute. I'm going to delete this ramp real quick here. Let's delete these landing gears. For example, if you, let's take, I'm going to get a little weird here for a minute because Art loves it. I'm going to duplicate this, move it over, right? If you did something where this bottom deck, or actually you can take the bottom deck and this, okay, slid those back, something like that maybe, right? And actually, okay. And then let's say you did something that was, we're going to get real rough here now, everyone, really, really rough. Let's say you did bring something into this that created sort of a, I know VMXEO is like quaking in his boots right now because we're doing some real rough modeling, everyone, but this is kind of my favorite part. Okay, let's just say we go back to this. A little bit more up on the y-axis, go back to my world planes, scale back and move down. Okay, let's say we were operating with a situation where we had sort of a closed front, right? In that regard, you could definitely have entrances here, which I think if we remember, what was it? It was, does anyone remember what those side entries on the Kraken were, what they measured? Let's do it again here because we're doing it live. Art, how many viewers we got, by the way? Trying to figure out how much I'm boring everybody.
128 on YouTube or on Twitch, and nice. 141 on YouTube.
I'll take it. Okay, here's our entries for the Kraken starboard side base. Okay, which actually looks a little perfect. Okay, a little perfect. As a matter of fact, I can probably. Yep, I thought so. What we're going to do is take these up a little bit. Yes, perfect. Okay. Actually, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry, everyone. This gets a little messy sometimes, but I know you will put up with it for me. Okay. So you could have a series of doors, right? So you could have maybe one, two, right? You could do them as separate doors, or you could do them as one big ass door. But for example, where is this? Let me pull this thing out here. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and just create a bool. Let's cut it. Connect objects plus delete. Let's create generator bool again, everyone. This is so messy. My CG artist at my work would be truly ashamed right now of me, but this is how I'm doing it because I'm streaming and I want to be fast and not dilly-dally. Okay, so again, you could end up in a situation where you've got access to the outside through these sort of side hangar doors, right? And those could kind of lean in. Let me kill the world plane here. And you could, you know, have access here with your ships. You could fly them out with no problem. They could enter and exit like that. Again, geometry is very ugly. We will greeblefile it and make it, or greebify it and make it look really sexy, but we're not there yet, everyone. But yeah, you could do that. You could absolutely do some side entryways, right? You could do it on both sides too. They could be like total fly through if you wanted. As a matter of fact, let's put that there. Let's put that there. You could delete, actually copy paste, negative. And turn that off. Okay. So yeah, you could do like total fly through now. You can see here. Actually, let me drag this bad boy down a little bit here. Yeah, you could have it total fly through on the bottom hanger. That would be doable. I mean, I guess you could open the front as well so that the front is fully accessible. That wouldn't be a problem. All right, continuing on. We're playing here. We're messing around with stuff. We're getting a little crazy. John Chase says, are you just basing this off the current Anvil ship CES designs, or are you including the rejected Liberator art or even real-life references? Well, I think as we start to model things, we're going to take everything into account. Right now, I'm just sort of going off the Liberator, both its approved and rejected designs, and just sort of going off a few base facts. One, we want it to land. It needs to fit in a capital hangar, so we're going to stick to the Kraken size restrictions, and that it needs to carry 2 paladins. Everything else is extra, right? But if it can carry 2 paladins, we're solid. Okay. Now, one thing I would say is these, pretty much all 3 of these layouts, and Art, I'm sure you would agree, can carry significantly more ships than the Kraken or any carrier that we have.
Yeah.
Right. So in a situation like this, and Art, I'd be curious to know your opinion on this as someone who does a lot of like fleet gameplay. For me, the balancing factor with something like this, because immediately you go, well, why the hell would you buy a Kraken? Right? Or why would you buy an Idris or something like that? Is, again, we want to think a little bit like CIG here. We have to limit this thing. And I think it needs to be limited in its armament.
Yep.
So sure, it can carry a shit ton of ships, but it all, and yes, everyone, I think it will have repair, rearm, refuel capabilities, all that good stuff. But because it can carry a lot, it has pretty terrible armaments. So maybe it has like, 2 or maybe even like 1 size 8, dual size 8 turret, and then like 2 dual size 4s. I mean, like it's not going to have a lot of armament. It's not like the Kraken where the thing is, you need to bring a platoon just to man the front turrets. You know what I mean? Like the Kraken is bristling with turrets. The Idris carries its stuff internal, has size 10 mount, has tons of guns on it as well. I think this would lean the other way. It can carry on a lot of stuff, but at the same time has like pretty terrible armament. So you have to travel with stuff, because I mean, look at this arrangement here. You could technically, I mean, with a ship like this, you could technically run 3 paladins if you want. I mean, that's starting to get a little crazy when it comes to CIG's like, limitations they put in on things. So I think when you start getting to that place, and an assortment of ships underneath, when you start getting to that place, you really start have to like putting some limitations into things before stuff just starts getting kind of silly, right? So yeah, I mean, or think about it in terms of like the Bengal, right? The Bengal is is like a fleet carrier, and even it has limitations. It can carry up to Retaliator size ships. These could as well. So to me, This is on the size scale of the Kraken, on the carry capacity of the Bengal, but has the armament of the Liberator because the Liberator doesn't have the best armament either. Now, I do think, before anyone comes at me with torches, I do think the Liberator armament is going to get revised. Okay, I do think that's going to happen. And it's going to have some additional stuff. Okay. John Chafe says, what answered that one? John Chafe says, why no deck elevator? It isn't cool without one. It probably will get one when we model it out. This is literally just the most basic geometry possible. Okay, the most basic geometry possible. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to pull up something for those that didn't see it. When we did our Argo, when I did my Argo kit bash, remember, we started here. We started with this. We landed, or you all are seeing that, right? Yep. We landed on B. That was the one everyone liked. That's kind of where we landed. What we ended up building out, just so you all know the level of detail we'll be shooting for, is we landed on, where is it at? Where is it at? This is where we landed. Let me pull this up. And you'll get a sense of where we will take this, everybody. Okay, so this is the Argo Capital right here. Let me turn off the camera really quick. Okay, the Argo Capital was one we wanted to manufacture large ships. So it had like a dry dock. This is sort of where we took that. Okay. We brought in the UFO piece. If any of you ever saw that UFO ship that they were working on for a hot minute, we thought it would sort of be the snub ship for this thing. You can see that there. This ship it's to scale, actually. I can't remember how long it is, but we can measure it really quickly here. I wanted it to land as well. That was another thing about this ship. I wanted this one to be able to land as well. So give or take, roughly it's 250 meters long. So actually 10 meters shorter than a Kraken. But that was something we were messing with. The idea was that back here in the rear, it would be able to fabricate, sort of like an open dry dock system, large ships. You can see the observation deck in here, right? But that was sort of the thinking. You could see fabrication arm. I don't think this one's animated. Actually, I did do some again, we take it pretty far, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the same thing with this Anvil capital ship. So what we're doing now is just the very, most rough, most simple geometry. So what you'll see here is I even started to mess around a little bit with animation of the arms. So while it was in flight mode, the arms would collapse and be like this. But when you wanted to, let me turn this off really quick. If you wanted to manufacture bigger ships, then the arms could move out. And now it has a much bigger dry dock that can support ships like the Star Runner and stuff like that. You'll see some little drones we have flying around here. We thought, well, maybe it's got some drones that can go out and do work. But that is the idea behind what you're seeing there. So yes, we're starting here, okay, but we're going to take this to this level. Okay, we're going to take it to this level. Okay, of our Argo capital ship. That's what we're going to do. Let me pop up another question here. Stand by, everyone. I'll hit render on that while we're. Oh Lord, it can't find any of my textures. Great. Perfect. Dom4419 asks, wouldn't it be more unique in Anvil to have the bridge towards the front?
I
don't know, because I don't know if that means it makes it more Anvil. We only have the Carrick's bridge is up front. The Crucible's bridge is kind of in the middle. The Odin's bridge is in the back rear, or rear third. The Liberator's bridge is kind of in the middle. So I think we're kind of all over the place when it comes to Anvil stuff. So for example, if I where's OBS? Let's go back really quick here to hanger link. If I look at the Liberator, for those that were unsure of where its bridge is at, its bridge is right here. So it's not in the middle. It's a little bit forward of the middle for sure, but it's not up in the front like the Carrack. Obviously, the Odin, its bridge is kind of in the middle or back third. Obviously, the Carrack bridge is up front. Crucible, there's a lot of debate about which direction the Crucible flies in. It's technically supposed to be able to fly in both directions, but I can promise you CIG will change that. There's no way in hell they do that anymore. But its bridge is kind of in the middle. So I don't know if Anvil has a defined area where their bridges are at, to be totally honest with you. Next question. What do we got here? North. North says, how many Valkyrie or Asgards can it fit? It has to be able to fit 2, but we don't know how many. I'm going to close this really quick, everyone. But we don't know how many we'll end up with. It may be able to fit more, for all we know. Obviously, I think the goal is to be able to carry 2 Paladins and at least 2 to 4 extra small ships. So, or small or extra small ships. So like Hornet, Gladiator, Hurricane, stuff like that. That's what it has to carry. Ruger Blood Moon says, wouldn't it be better to have the top deck thicker under the pads for corridors and space for cargo and internals for deck and surface crews? Yeah, we're going to get there. We haven't built these things out yet. The decks are probably going to get more complicated and thicker to make up for geometry. There's going to have to be support struts in here. We're going to really detail it out. It's not going to look like what you're seeing here. It's not going to look like what you're seeing here. Shinobi Trip says, question, should this carrier have a closed or pointed front so it looks just like a Super Liberator?
I think it's meant so it doesn't look like the Super Liberator.
Oh, so it doesn't look like Super Liberator. Well,
yeah, doesn't the Super Liberator have the same kind of
open front? Well, to be fair, actually, I'll bring the Super Liberator up so that some of you may not know what he's talking about. It's in Fleet Viewer, by the way. You just have to click off official only. The Super Liberator, this thing's so ridiculous. It's literally just a Liberator stretched out, like doubled up, like literally doubled up. And then I just attached some Valkyrie parts to it. You know what I mean? That's all. So we're going to go beyond that a little bit. We're going to make something. I have some issues with how the Liberator is designed. I actually am very curious if CIG is going to fix some of those design issues. There's some limiting issues about the Liberator I don't love, so I don't want to we're going to deviate from it, I promise. Jungle Zayan says, why is C4D your software choice? It's just the software I have up and ready to run. But we might use Blender some during this. We use Cinema 4D some. It just depends. We're going to use Blender some though too. Let's see here. Ruger Blood Moon says, question, how about a bottom layer being a detachable scarab usable for ground and air? Could be interesting. Could be interesting. I'm more excited than ever to see how CIG approaches the scarab concept from the Crucible. Knowing or seeing how the Ironclad Assault has worked out and the popularity of it. I think they're going to do some cool things with that. So we could investigate that. Maybe it does have a scarab component. Ren Solara says, question, doesn't the total length include the extended ramps? Yes, it does. So we would have to adjust that. Here's the thing, though. Even if we did include that ramp at the front that I was talking about, we could easily shorten this thing. It does not have to be this long. Like, for example, I could literally grab, let's see, actually, let me take the Paladins out for a minute here. I could easily take this and we could shorten it to some degree, and I think we'd be fine. I really do think we'd be fine. Already these carriers are capable of carrying quite a bit. So we might end up doing that to account for things like landing gears, to account for things like any sort of ground ramps. If there is a detachable scarab, we'll have to account for extra geometry for that. And by the way, in part 2, we're going to get to the actual kit bashing thing where we start to make this look pretty. And we are going to borrow a lot from other Anvil ships and just other ships in general. I have an entire pack of parts and pieces that aren't even Star Citizen related. They're just sci-fi related. We're going to use that. Again, we're going to totally build this out. All what you're seeing now is like, consider this like very early blocking, white box blocking. Rabbit07 says, yeah, should be interesting. Benoit is a good to listen to. I think he's talking about the Q&A we have with Benoit later this week.
Thursday, yep.
Yeah, Thursday. I'll be honest with you, I'm not expecting too much from it. I think they'll drop a cool hint or two in there or something, but unfortunately, I think it's going to be a lot of them just addressing the problems in the servers right now. But as I've said many times, my own personal opinion is, yeah, we've had problems before. They fix them. We're going to have more problems in the future. They're going to fix those. If you've played Star Citizen for more than a year, then you yourself have been through many ups and downs with the servers and performance. So, hopefully it's not just a talk on that for 2 hours. I'm hoping they address some new stuff like further persistence, dynamic server meshing, just some of that forward future looking stuff that if you're going to be able to pull Benoit for a little bit, I would love some of those higher tier questions than just like, why doesn't 4.8.1 work that well? I think we know the issues. So let's continue on. Really quick here, everyone. We got a little bit of news. There we go. A little bit of news into pipeline leaks for Gatak's second ship. Apparently, there is a mention for the Gatak Tilui. Hopefully, I said that right. Tyilui has been found, very likely to be a second Gatak ship. According to the name meaning, Tyi means chamber, pocket, or enclosed holder sheath. And Lui, or Lui, whatever, it means knife, cut, slice. It sounds like it could be either a mining salvage ship because it's slicing, cutting things up, because Lui means knife, cut, slice, or sharp. It also could be the snub ship because it says pocket, chamber, pocket, enclosing holder sheath. So who knows? It could be anything. I'm still thinking industrial though. This could be the rail invariant, could be a third ship we don't know about. We'll have to see. All right, back to the questions here. Art's got a few minutes left, everyone. I do too. We're wrapping it up. Remember, we're just taking it to this level this time. And on part 2, okay, which will be later this weekend, on part 2, we're going to start kit bashing these out. We're going to do a poll. We're going to do a poll on all 3 of these on that episode. And we'll figure out which is the one we're going to move forward on, and then we're going to start kit bashing it, okay? And we're going to start making it look real pretty. 2 more questions. Altzilla SE says, question, would it be possible for the smaller pads, lower pads to be angled like modern aircraft carriers that would give more room for cargo, components, weapons? Yeah, possibly. We might explore that because one thing I do want to consider on this is cargo. And that's something we haven't really considered all that much, except for in these nacelles. This has got to be able to carry enough repair, rearm, and refuel capability to service all these ships. That's a good point, Altzilla, so thank you. Last question, Zig79 says, love the inside doors. He says, love the side doors. How much will this ship cost when it will be flight ready? This will be $2,700. $2,700. I think that is a fair assessment.
Payable to STARJUMP, Grimm,
yes,
and Associates.
Yes, payable to me. Absolutely. Okay, so everyone, we've started our kit bash journey. Okay, we got a ways to go. Like I said, there's going to be a multi-part thing. Okay, so tonight we did our 2D silhouette layouts. We did some very initial rough kit bashing. We have a good scale for our ship. We have some good characteristics of it sort of blocked out. On the next episode, part 2, coming this weekend, we're going to start kit bashing it, okay? And we are going to start with kit bashing. We're going to take pieces from other Anvil ships, other Star Citizen ships, and then other just parts and pieces I have. We're going to start building out the ship, start making it look really pretty. We might make some mistakes. We might make it look really cool. Once we have the kit bash done, we'll then on part 3, okay, which will be the following week, we're going to start doing some unique custom modeling. Okay, so we're going to move away from the kit bashing. We'll do some custom modeling, and we'll get to where we start texturing things a little bit. Okay, we start bringing in some of that texture work to make it feel more and more finished. Okay, so we're off to a great start, if I can talk correctly, as Mal member says. I'm excited. Art, how do you feel like we did for the first day?
I think we made good progress. I think it's very Liberator-esque. I can't wait to get away from that. I think it's a good start, but
yeah,
I definitely want to look back at it and be like, we started with a Liberator with this. Like,
yeah,
I really want it to get away from that.
And I think that will happen. Again, we're starting from one place and we're going to see where we end up, right? We're going to see where we end up. I think we're going to end up somewhere really exciting. Again, it's always, we have to start from somewhere though, right? And the Liberator is just a good anchor point to start on. Right away, if we end up going with that asymmetric design, we'll be pulling away from the Liberator quite a bit. But we'll see. We're going to see where we run. And remember, we could get to the end of this and we're just like, we all hate it. But we'll see. That's part of this exercise. If you've ever looked at any of CIG's stuff, you will have seen they've got concepts that failed too. They do. Everyone, don't forget, I pinned on the chats the Gleam link for the Raylan giveaway. Remember, I'll be giving away a Raylan this Wednesday. Okay, this Wednesday. Is it this Wednesday? Yeah, this Wednesday. I'll get the show scheduled too. It's not currently scheduled, but I will get it scheduled. Okay, it'll be the
when's the next show?
I guess it'll be Friday. What's the 17th? I think Alien Week starts on the 17th, which is Wednesday.
2 days.
So
Wednesday.
It's going to be an alien themed show. We're going to talk about the new ships. We'll probably get in game, check them out. We'll give away a Raylan. It's going to be a good time. We're going to have fun with it. All right, everybody, tonight we're going to raid someone that raided me the other day just as I was ending the stream, but we're going to pay them back already. We're going to raid Mr. Photog. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed it. Nice short stream tonight, 2 hours. We'll do a show on Wednesday, and then we'll do part 2 of Skunkworks this weekend, okay? I'll get that scheduled. Be looking out on the Discord calendar, the YouTube calendar schedule, and the Twitch calendar schedule for those show updates, okay? I'm going to send you all over to Mr. Photog. Please give him a STARJUMP shout out. Appreciate it, everyone. Love y'all. Thanks for going to the merch store. Thanks for going to the Patreon. All those things are getting rebuilt as we speak, okay? So everyone, have a great night. Art, thanks as always. Appreciate everyone. Salute to you, everybody. Good night.